Hello everybody, Afro Anime coming at you with another video. I am back with All-Star Brawls, and as you can see from the title, this is going to be a little bit different. I am going to be criticizing the game, even though I really love this game. I'm going to give it some constructive criticism. So I was recently watching the trailer to Multiverses, the WB fighting game that's coming out, and just like Smash, just like All-Star Brawls, it's going to be a fighting game around WB characters, ranging from a large selection of characters such as Batman, Harley Quinn, to Bugs Bunny and Looney Tune characters. There's a lot of people in that game. So one thing that I felt I needed to do was just talk about how that game might be the end to All-Star Brawls. So the reason I say that is in Multiverses, there's voice acting. So the first thing I picked up on when I got All-Star Brawls is the fact that there's no voice acting from any of the characters, and even the text dialogues don't really like correspond with the character you're fighting. So for instance, if I'm fighting with Korra and I go up against Toph, there's no like special dialogue that they have between each other. They just kind of say the same thing, doesn't matter who they go up against, which I find is a little annoying. But in Multiverses, there's actual dialogue everyone speaks, which is something that I was really hoping that we would see with this game, but we don't have it. Another thing is the roster. There's a much bigger roster in starting roster for that game than there is for this game. So I kind of wanted to go over some of the characters in this game and characters that are not in this game that should be in this game, and just kind of talk about that. So let's start with SpongeBob. So for the cast of SpongeBob, I think this here is the best starting character roster. You have SpongeBob, who obviously needs to be here. He's the main character of his show. He needs to be here. Patrick, he's the side character. He is SpongeBob's best friend. Needs to be here. Then you have Sandy, who is literally the only character in SpongeBob who really fights. Like, Sandy's probably the strongest person in SpongeBob. She's a master at karate. It makes sense for Sandy to be in this game. Then, moving on to Avatar: The Last Airbender, you have Aang and Toph. That's it. Okay, no, I'm not including Korra, because Korra, even though she's part of the same universe, she isn't part of Avatar: The Last Airbender. She's a sequel. She has her own entirely different show. Korra wasn't even thought of during the time of Avatar: The Last Airbender. So one thing I have a problem with Aang and Toph, and don't get me wrong, Toph was one of my favorite characters in Avatar: The Last Airbender. But for the sake of this game, I don't see why Toph is a starting character. It just kind of seems like they just pulled it out of a hat. Oh, let's pick Toph. Personally, I would have gotten Aang, Katara, and Sokka. I mean, they literally are... Toph wasn't even in Season 1, and I don't think she showed up until like a few episodes into Season 2. Versus Katara and Sokka, who literally started the show off. They are literally the ones who got Aang out of the iceberg. That's why Avatar even happened. So it feels kind of like they're leaving out super important characters that they're going quite possibly release for DLC, but they shouldn't be DLC characters. Now, one thing I was really hoping for when it comes to Avatar: The Last Airbender and Korra is that there will be a lot more characters. And granted, I understand DLC is going to be a thing, and that's what I'm really looking forward to. You don't want to release too many characters on the starting roster. But one thing that I was hoping for was there would be a lot more characters to choose from in terms of Avatar characters, given the fact that show actually revolves around fighting, versus SpongeBob, where yeah, you have Sandy, but that show's not about fighting. It's kind of just a comedy show. Invader Zim, same thing. But Avatar, you have so many characters. You have Zuko, you have Azula, you have Mai, Ty Lee, Fire Lord Ozai. Like, you can just go on forever in terms of people that are fighting with actual martial arts in Avatar. Korra, same thing. I don't really remember all the names in Korra, even though I love that show, but it's the same thing. So the fact that they only picked Toph and Aang kind of feels like a really big leave out. I honestly wouldn't have hated it if they just made Toph a DLC character, because she wasn't even part of the starting cast, and, you know, whoever else they wanted to add in. Moving on to Korra, same thing. I feel like they added Korra thinking, oh, well, we added 3 Avatar characters. No, Korra is her own show and should be treated as such. It should be Korra and maybe like the 2 guys she was with throughout the entire show as her starting cast. I don't know why that's not a thing. Invader Zim, even Invader Zim, I feel like one additional character they could have added for Invader Zim was forgive me, I don't remember all the names, I don't feel like looking everyone up, but remember how if you were around for Invader Zim, remember how Invader Zim had like he went to a school and there was like this guy who knew he was an alien and was trying to expose him? I feel like that would be another character to add to the starting roster of All-Star Brawl. I'm not gonna really judge the Loud House. I've never watched the Loud House, but let's go to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This one actually kinda got on my nerves. Now, when you think of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, who do you think of? You think of Leonardo, Raphael, Donatello, Michelangelo. But only Leonardo and Michelangelo are in the game. The show revolves around all 4 turtles. And again, I understand why you wouldn't want to add too many characters into the starting roster, otherwise it doesn't leave enough space for DLC. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has a lot of people that you can add for DLC. April O'Neil does not need to be here. April O'Neil, despite being an OP character in this game, does not need to be part of the starting roster. She should be a DLC character. You have Splinter, who could be a DLC character. I'm sure they're gonna make him one. Shredder, who I heard is gonna be a DLC character, rightfully so. Rat King is another character that was a bad guy in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. My point is, you have a lot of people that could be, even the hockey guy. You have a lot of people that can be DLC characters for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But the starting roster needs to be Leonardo, Raphael, Donatello, and Michelangelo. I don't want to pay for additional money for characters that I feel should already be there. You know, I wouldn't have a problem paying money for April O'Neil, but the characters that should be there, that's different, you know? These guys, I remember watching them when I was little. Yeah, I watched this show when I was younger. I remember seeing them on the internet, but I didn't see them enough to like know exactly what characters should and should not be in the game. Cat Dog, also love the show. Can't remember who else should really be in this game. Wild Thornberries. For the Wild Thornberries, the thing that really got me upset about this show, about this choice selection, is the fact they choose to put in the father, Nigel, which to me makes no sense. Literally, there is no other person in the Wild Thornberries in this game than Nigel. Nigel is not the main character of the Wild Thornberries. The main character of the Wild Thornberries is Eliza Thornberry. She is the person who can talk to animals and all that. She's the reason that the Thornberries is a show. But she's not in the that doesn't make, that's like adding in SpongeBob, the cast of SpongeBob, but excluding SpongeBob and leaving him for like DLC. That makes no sense. That annoys me. And don't get me wrong, Nigel is a good character in the game, but why is he the choice? You know, and why is he the only choice? I'm not against Nigel being in the game, but I feel like he should be a DLC character. I feel the character that should be like the starting roster should be Eliza Thornberry, maybe the Donnie Thornberry, that's the brother, and Debbie Thornberry. I feel like those 3 should be the starting roster. They are they're the reason the show exists. You know, even though Eliza is the main character, the brother's super, like, who wouldn't want to play as the crazy little brother? Even Debbie, who's like super against her sister. Like, those are 3 characters that should be in this game by default. Nigel and anyone else they want to add in should be DLC. Let's go to Danny Phantom. Now, Danny Phantom, I love Danny Phantom. I feel like there should be more characters for Danny Phantom. Danny Phantom has a lot of enemies. I'm not going to look up all the enemies and stuff, but he has a lot of enemies that could most definitely be a part of the starting roster. Even the mom and dad, who are ghost hunters, I feel should be a part of the starting roster. Like, there's so much choices that they could choose. The fact that Danny Phantom's the only person that they put in for his show is kind of sad, in my opinion. I don't even know who this character is, so I'm just gonna skip that. But yeah, that's all we got for characters in this game. And that's kind of weak, in my opinion. So, other characters that should be in this game that are not in this game, or shows that are not even in this game, Jimmy Neutron and the Fairly Odd Parents. How are those 2 shows not in Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl? Literally, those were probably the 2 most popular shows of Nickelodeon for the longest. They were so popular that they actually had multiple crossover episodes of those 2 shows. For the Fairly Odd Parents, I would put in Timmy Turner, obviously. Then Cosmo and Wanda, I feel like would be his would kind of be like his assists, kind of like how Invader Sim has like his little robot thing as his assists. I feel like Cosmo and Wanda would just be a part of Timmy Turner's starting, like, his moveset. Then I feel Jordan Von Strangle would also be a very good character to add in, given the fact that Jordan Von Strangle is just so big and you know, muscular. He would be a really good heavy-hitting character. And then last but not least, Vicky. I feel like having Vicky in, she already has a chainsaw. She's part of the opening theme. Like, it would be a great character to put in to the starting roster. DLC characters, Mom, Dad, Crimson Chin, like, who else? Who's that character that Timmy actually dresses up as at times? That would be another variation to Timmy Turner. Like, he's Crimson Chin's sidekick, but like, he's his own character in a sense. The genie, that guy the Pixies, that guy who's like says that he's always super sexy and he's in love with Wanda, that fairy. So many characters they could add in from Timmy Turner, but they don't even have him in the game. And if they release him as DLC, like, I'm okay with him being, not really, like, he should be a part of the starting roster. Like, unless it's free DLC, I don't understand why he's not in the game. That just doesn't make sense to me. Then Jimmy Neutron, starting roster, Jimmy, Carl, Libby, Cindy. Those 4 should be in it. Why am I excluding Sheen? Even though he's a part of the Jimmy Neutron cast, because Sheen also had his own show. He had a spin-off show called Planet Sheen, and even if the Nickelodeon people were like, "Hey, we don't want to add in 5 characters into a starting roster," it would be like, well, technically Sheen, you could just categorize Sheen into the Planet Sheen category, and there you go. You have all the cast of Jimmy Neutron, and you have a character of Planet Sheen, and it doesn't, you know, that's the whole cast right there. Another reason why I feel like Jimmy Neutron should be like the #1 character to put in this game is because, unlike any of these characters here, Jimmy Neutron actually started out as a 3D animated show, and this is a 3D animated game. Just seems like it would make sense to have him in the show. He would be the least difficult to animate 3D wise, because he's already 3D. I feel like DLC wise for him, you could add Goddard, you might not, I don't know. Goddard could just be like his assist, similar to Timmy Turner having Cosmo and Wanda as his assist. Now, the reason why I feel like another reason why you might not add Goddard is because, do you remember that episode of Jimmy Neutron where it was kind of like a Fantastic Four episode, they all had powers? They could kind of incorporate that into the game and make it so that they all have their powers. It would give them more optimal combos. DLC wise, you can include the mother, the father, the teacher, the one that goes "Pagah!" You can include her, the aliens. There's so many characters that you can add for Jimmy Neutron. Like, it's just weird to me how you don't have that in the game. And the reason why I say that this game might be ending is because even though it just debuted like a few months ago, the lack of dialogue, the lack of characters, up to now I don't think we've had a DLC. No, we haven't had a DLC yet. And you already have Multiverses coming out with a bigger roster, better roster in my opinion. If you have any roster with Batman and Harley Quinn in it, you're talking about a good roster. So they have dialogue. They even have this feature where you'll be playing as single player, but you can control two characters. So I might select like Aang and Toph and fight with both of them, and it's optional. You can go to single player and just, you could just have it as just Aang being your character instead of Aang and Katara and Toph. So you have you have customizable characters, so you can change the outfits and stuff. Something you can't do in this game, which is confusing to me considering that even Super Smash Bros. Did the same thing, and this is a spin-off of Super Smash Bros. So to me, it's just kind of confusing to me how they don't have certain things in the game. And it's a great game. I love the game. It's super enjoyable, but it is lacking in a lot of areas. And when you have Multiverses coming out with a whole bunch of new innovative stuff, it kind of makes you wonder what the future of this game will be. Anyway, that's all I have to say for this video. I didn't do any playing because this was just a criticism video. But tell me if you agree with what I said. Tell me if, what your, just leave a like, comment. Basic outro stuff. Afro Anime, signing out.